Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are continuing the 9th Gym guide series with Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu is actually a pretty solid Pokemon, even though it is on the lower rung of Tapus in general. Grass Fairy typing is very solid, and Grassy Surge is an amazing ability. Grassy Terrain is great. Of course, we do have Rillaboom in the meta, which is actually much higher usage because of the fact that it gets Grassy Glide, and unfortunately Tapu Bulu does not have access to that move, which it really should. That was insane that they robbed the Tapus of those moves, but I digress. Anyway, today we're talking about Tapu Bulu, not Rillaboom. So it does actually have a couple of things over over the Rillaboom that is cool, can be considered bad in some circumstances, like its dual typing of grass and fairy. Rillaboom is only grass, so we have that fairy typing, which is cool. Unfortunately, there's no physical fairy move that Tapu Bulu has access to, so it doesn't really have it offensively unless you go for like a Calm Mind, special attacking set, which is not what we're using today, but it is an option. But yeah, Grass Fairy, it does give us more weaknesses. We have a 4x weakness to poison now, which is really bad with Venusaur in the meta. We also have a weakness to Steel, which is really bad because, it's Steel, Celesteela, and Kartana. Those Pokemon are just everywhere. They're very strong. So, we have a couple of downsides with that. Steel is bad. Poison is a bad 4x weakness. But other than that, we just have regular things like 3 other weaknesses of Flying, Ice, and Fire, and then 6 resistances and 1 immunity of Dragon, so that's pretty cool. Grassy Surge is amazing. Grassy Terrain gives you a little bit of recovery. Every Pokemon on the field gets essentially a weaker leftovers recovery every single turn, so that's a pretty good or bad thing, depending on the scenario. Could be bad to heal up your opponent's Pokemon a little bit. It does actually mess with a couple of random damage calcs, so keep that in mind when you're building a Tapu Bulu spread. And then, of course, Grassy Terrain also weakens Earthquake, which is really big for certain synergies, and it makes our Grass-type attacks a little bit stronger, which is obviously very good. We're going to be building Tapu Bulu as a Dynamaxing Pokemon, 2 different builds today, but they both are going to be Dynamaxing, doing stuff builds, so that'll be cool. As far as the stats go, not too great. There's only a couple stats that are really solid. Attack is obviously very good at 130, and its defense and special defense are both very solid, 115 defense and 95 special defense. Both are very solid, a little above average, and then HP at 70 is pretty low, but the defense and special defense do make up for that pretty well, and then special attack at 85 actually does allow it to be a Calm Mind special attacker if you want to. Getting through Intimidate is definitely cool, but I'm going to be sticking to the physical attacks today. And then speed at 75 is actually pretty low, and not incredible, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the speed tier portion of the video, but for now let's go ahead and talk about the builds that I have. So I have 2 builds, like I said, one is going to be Life Orb, one is going to be Assault Vest, but they're both going to be essentially doing the same thing, just Dynamaxing and putting up a lot of damage while not taking too much damage because it is fairly bulky. We'll probably put it on a team with like Grimmsnarl screens or something so that you can stay pretty bulky for longer. Obviously most Dynamaxing Pokemons just like screens. That's why Grimmsnarl is a top 5, top 10 Pokemon in the game right now, and has been for really all of Dynamax formats in general. So yeah, Grimmsnarl is amazing. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a minute, but for now let's talk about these sets. So first off, Life Orb, Tapu Bulu, Grassy Surge, we're not going to change that. EV is 236 HP, 244 attack, and 28 defense. I wanted to max out the attack, but for a couple of calcs, I had to take away a little bit just so that we could have enough in HP and defense to live certain attacks. Things like Glastrier Strikes and a couple other ones. We'll talk about damage calcs a little more in the damage calc portion. But yeah, essentially, Adamant 244 attack gets the job done. We're doing a lot of damage. That plus Life Orb is really a lot of damage. You have good moves like Horn Leech, Close Combat, and High Horsepower. Horn Leech, of course, is Stab, and then Close Combat hits the pesky Incineroar, brings back your Intimidates, raises your attack. It can be really good for your side Pokemon to just get a lot of attack up. It's good. High Horsepower, of course, turns into Max Quake, which gives us a +1 in the special defense department, so that's obviously good. Patching up that special defense back into as strong as the defense makes this Pokemon incredibly bulky, so having that is really good. Unfortunately, it's not very fast, so I didn't really want to invest all into speed. You definitely could go into speed or even go for a min speed, 0 speed Trick Room kind of thing, but I just went for bulk and attack. No fancy stuff, no weird stuff, no Trick Room, nothing like that. But I do definitely think Trick Room is very solid on Tapu Bulu with its speed tier being pretty low. So that's it for the Life Orb build. Essentially just going to be Life Orb, attack, Dynamax, attack things. It's pretty basic. Tapu Bulu, Assault Vest, is a little bit different, but essentially still there. We have the same attacks, being Horn Leech, Close Combat, and High Horsepower, but instead of Protect, I went for Stone Edge because of Assault Vest. You can't have any of those kind of moves like Protect or Swords Dance or anything, so Stone Edge is what I went with. You can definitely change that out for Zen Headbutt, Brick Break. There's a couple other moves. You can go Dazzling Gleam if you want a mixed attacker. I probably wouldn't do that, especially with Adamant, but you could. That's just an idea. But yeah, I mean, it's essentially doing the same thing, but the spread's a little bit different. So it's 228 HP, which is very similar, and 236 attack, which is very similar. But we poured a little bit more into defense and a little bit more into our speed and defense, just so we don't waste things. You know, we could put that 8 back into HP and then be almost the exact same as the, you know, the Life Orb spread, but I just wanted to max it out a little bit, you know, put it into speed and special defense. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really change much, but you know, just wanted to change it up a little bit, add a little bit of, you know, diversity to its portfolio. Tapu Bulu at Assault Vest is actually very solid. Assault Vest really helps us, you know, not die to a couple of things that will just kill it. You know, you have big Pokemon in the meta like Celesteela and Torkoal, Venusaur. A lot of good special attacking Pokemon are in the meta. Even though we're in a very physical heavy format, we also have a lot of really good special attackers, and a lot of those are actually Steel, Flying, and Fire. So Tapu Bulu really takes a lot of damage from those attacks. So Assault Vest is actually very, very solid. I don't know which one of these builds I like more. You know, Life Orb does a little bit more damage, but Assault Vest is a little bulkier. So you have, you know, big upsides to both of them. So I would just test them both. Anyway, so that is it for the builds. Let's go ahead and talk about some options and then synergetic Pokemon, and then we'll move on to, you know, speed tiers, damage calcs, and single spotlight. So first off, Swords Dance. I actually would like to, you know, bring this into light because that is the way I went for the singles build. Spoiler alert, but I think Swords Dance is actually very solid and actually would be pretty fire in you know, VGC games. So I actually think that would be pretty good. So I'd like to shine a little bit of light on that. A lot of damage that we do takes out these, you know, supportive Pokemon, but doesn't really kill the Dynamax Pokemon. But with Swords Dance, we probably will be taking knockouts on a lot of those Pokemon. You know, things like Glastrier, potentially we can take a knockout with Close Combat from +2 Swords Dance, so that can be huge. And, you know, with screens going around, it's not a bad idea to have Swords Dance. Speaking of screens, Brick Break is there too, which is not a bad idea because of Grimmsnarl being a top 10 Pokemon. Breaking through those screens is incredibly powerful. Zen Headbutt's another good option. Like we were saying, you could switch that out for like Stone Edge or something, or even Close Combat, High Horsepower if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend that. I think those 3 moves are optimal for Tapu Bulu, but still, you can change them out if you want. And then looking into the you know, special attacking Tapu Bulu a little bit, we do have Calm Mind to, you know, kind of set that back up, but then we also have Energy Ball and Dazzling Gleam, which are both very solid stab moves that Tapu Bulu has access to that are going to be special attacking. As far as items go, Lumberry is a good option. You know, being able to not get burned is very good. You could put Tapu Fini on the team too, but then you're going to lose your Grassy Surge for Misty Surge. So I would just go for Lumberry if you're worried about getting burned. And then you also have things like Koba Berry and Grassy Seed that can just help your, you know, general bulk here. Going for those items could be solid. You could go for a different weakness berry as well. And I've seen Citrus Berry and, like, you know, Pinch Berry, Tapu Bulus in the past. That could definitely work. So you could go for any of those. Like I said, you know, it's a pretty versatile Pokemon. You can go, you know, special attacking, physical attacking, defensive, bulky, Dynamax, sweeper. There's a whole lot of different ways, but these are, in my opinion, the best ways. Just Dynamax sweeping is very, very solid, and Life Orb is really good for it. So is Assault Vest. As far as our synergetic Pokemon go, we have Grimmsnarl as the first one. None of these Pokemon are going to be too big, obvious synergies. So Grimmsnarl is kind of just here for general support. You know, without speed control, Tapu Bulu really wants speed control because it's just so slow, and it doesn't have like an Airstream attack. So it's good to have some form of speed control. So that could be, you know, Grimmsnarl could have Trick Lagging Tail, Trick Full Incense, or even just, you know, Thunder Wave. So that's good as well. But you also have the obvious synergies of screens, which is great for your Dynamax sweeper. So Grimmsnarl just works. And then Heatran, of course. Heatran has a couple of really interesting synergies. First off, we put up Grassy Surge, which is actually really big because it has the damage of Earthquake, which is one of the biggest ground moves used right now, which obviously, Heatran is scared of. It's always using Shuka Berry. You can maybe even dodge Shuka Berry and just go for something else with the Grassy Surge. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably still go Shuka Berry, but you're living then, which is really good. So that's a cool thing for Heatran. But it also destroys these ice Pokemon and these not poison. Yeah, poison actually. We have Earth Power and Steel. We have Earth Power. So yeah, Heatran's actually very solid offensively against the Pokemon that Tapu Bulu is kind of afraid of. So, on those Max Guard turns, you can Max Guard and then Earth Power and get rid of something that is just threatening our Tapu Bulu. So that's really good. So that is it for our synergetic Pokemon in this slide. Let's go ahead and talk about speed tiers. Like I said, speed tiers, it leaves a lot to be wanted. Tapu Bulu is pretty slow at that 75 base speed, going to 95 uninvested. We are outspeeding a couple good Pokemon, things like Politoed, Hitmontop, which isn't really played in this format, Celesteela, and Tyranitar, so that's very good. Even like things like Min Speed, Heatran, Min Speed, Gothitelle, a couple of random Min Speed Pokemon, and then obviously, Trick Room Boy is way down at the bottom. But it is getting outsped by a lot of good Pokemon, things like Heatran, Gyarados, Milotic, Cresselia, Rillaboom, Tapu Fini, Suicune, Rotom Heat, Rotom Wash, Togekiss, Lando T, and that's all just before 160, which is where the bulk of our good speed tiers are, between that 160 and 210 kind of ratio. So Tapu Bulu leaves a lot to be wanted in terms of speed. Just, it makes sense. Anyway, that's it for speed tiers. Not great. Not the worst, but not great. Next, we have some damage calcs. So the first three are going to be our Life Orb boy. The second three, the last three, are going to be our Assault Vest boy. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so first off, we have Dynamaxed, but also Intimidated, just because I want to show how much damage we can do. 244 plus attack Life Orb, -1 from an Intimidate, not from the Tapu Fini, guys. It doesn't have to have Intimidate, but a lot of the time they'll, throw out their Lando just to make sure that you live. So that's good. But 244 plus attack Life Orb, Tapu Bulu max overgrowth into 252 HP, 132 defense, which is a very bulky, probably more bulky than the common Tapu Fini you'll see, but I just wanted to really show how bulky this can be. This is the most bulky spread on Picolytics. That was pretty early. We are still hitting for 123 to 145%, which is guaranteed OHKO against this thing. So that is really good. We have a great matchup against one of the top 5 Pokemon, Tapu Fini. Next, good matchup with a top 5 Pokemon. That is not really a great matchup, but it's a matchup that's there. We are two-shotting with Max Knuckle. So 244 plus, attack Life Orb, Tapu Bulu, Max Knuckle, Intimidated, into the 236 HP, 116 defense, which once again is probably more defensive investment than, you'll see commonly, but I just wanted to be safe. It is 50 to 60%, which is an 80% chance to 2-hit KO after the grassy terrain, but it's actually higher because, we'll get that +1 from Max Knuckle in case they parting shot. If they parting shot, then we'll lose that +1 back, but then we'll go back to neutral, and then we'll do like 70% damage the second hit instead of 50, so we're 2-hit KOing. Essentially what I'm saying is we're 2-hit KOing Incineroar, which is really good, and fun fact, Incineroar's Flare Blitz doesn't knock out our Tapu Bulu if it's Dynamax. It probably won't even knock it out if it's not Dynamax, to be honest. So it's pretty good. Once again, not a bad matchup, not a great matchup, but not a bad matchup. With a top 5 Pokemon. Next, we have Glastrier, 252 plus attack Life Orb, Glastrier, Max Hailstorm, into our 236 HP, 28 defense, Dynamaxed Tapu Bulu. It's hitting 84.5 to 100.2, which unfortunately does have a 6.3% chance to OHKO. Probably not going to happen, but that percentage is there, which kind of sucks. You can take away a little bit more attack and then put it into, HP to just live that, but I probably wouldn't. I would take the 6% chance. Fight me, Ice Horse. I'll take that chance. No, I probably wouldn't. I don't know. I just wanted to max out my attack. And we're already only 244. It's still not bad. We live, most likely, to the Ice Horse, which is good. Anyway, next we have Special Attacking Life Orb, Celesteela, Max Steel Spike, Max Special Attack, even with the modest nature. Into our Assault Vest, Dynamax Tapu Bulu with 228 HP and 4 special defense spread, and of course the Assault Vest. It is hitting 56 to 65, which is a guaranteed 2-hit KO even after the recovery, but still, living that so easily is pretty good. Pretty good on my book. And if you have Light Screen up, easy peasy. You're guaranteed 3-hit KO in me, Celesteela. Try to fight me. Use your entire Dynamax on it. Do it. Next we have Venusaur. With the 252 plus special attack Life Orb, Venusaur Sludge Bomb into our 228 HP 4 special defense Assault Vest, Dynamax Tapu Bulu. A lot of adjectives there, a lot of things, but yeah, we are living 76% to 89% is what it does. This is a 4 times weakness from a Life Orb Venusaur, and we're living. Awesome. Next we have Lando T Dynamaxed with the Life Orb, the 252 plus nature. Yes, that's even adamant. It's doing everything. And it's only hitting 85 to 100% into our 228 with 36 defense. Very easy. 6.3% chance to OHKO. I'll take that chance. I'll probably live. You know, you probably will live the Glacier and the Lando attacks, so that's pretty good. Once again, you can take away 8 HP or 8 EVs from your, you know, attack or whatever and put it into your HP and you're living this, but I want to punch things, man. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's it for those. That's it for the damage calcs. Let's talk about single spotlight real quick before I end the video. So, I don't think this Pokemon is that great in singles, honestly. I'd probably just go for Rillaboom over it. But, I mean, I would probably go for Rillaboom over, you know, Tapu Bulu in VGC too. But it does have a couple of things that it still does over it, which is cool. In singles, we are going for the Swords Dance build, which Rillaboom does not have access to. So it is a different Pokemon once again. But we are doing, you know, pretty basic stuff here. Swords Dance, 3 attacks. We have Horn Leech, Close Combat, Zen Headbutt. You could change this to High Horsepower if you wanted to. There's a couple other moves that you could change this to. But I just went for Zen Headbutt just for the, you know, range of it. And then here in attack in our investment, I just maxed our attack and max speed. You know, Life Orb, Swords Dance stuff. I just want to be as fast as possible, do as much damage as possible. Put the leftover 4 into special defense because defense doesn't need it as badly. And then Jolly Nature. I want to be fast, man. You know, Tapu Bulu, it's not an incredibly fast Pokemon, but I want it to be as fast as it can be. You could change that to Adamant if you wanted to, but I want to go fast. Anyway, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Makes a huge difference. It really does. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. And goodbye.